engaging and one of the more successful coaches on the college basketball landscape. Had a big milestone win this past week. With more, here's Maria Taylor.
You're right, Dan. It was the 600th win for Coach Larrañaga, and his team showed genuine appreciation for him after that win. They went from silent to completely exploding into celebration in the post-game locker room. I think they startled their head coach a little bit, but Jaquan Newton told me they really wanted that milestone for their coach because he's such a great motivator, and coach has shown them video of the 2015 Miami win against Duke. The Hurricanes came in, upset the fourth-ranked team, walked out with a 16-point victory. They're trying to get 601 for their coach here tonight, guys.
All right, Maria, thank you. We are ready to go. Les Jones, Brian Dorsey, Tim Clougherty, the officials, and we're underway here at Cameron with the Blue Devils controlling the opening tip.
Miami starting out in man-to-man.
Backdoor cut. Allen missed the layup.
Boy, right away going out of a little horn set. And that backdoor cut was wide open. Grayson Allen's not going to get an easier bucket all night long.
Jaquan Newton with the ball, sixth man a year ago for Miami, and more of a scorer. Now he's just as much of a facilitator. New role for him, handling the ball a lot. Kamari Murphy off the glass, no good. Tip, no good. Duke ball. Tatum turns it over. The Hurricanes come in 12-5, coming off a loss at Wake during the week. Duke has lost 2 in a row to Louisville last weekend and to Florida State, both on the road prior to that.
Right away going into pick and roll, and you can see Emil Jefferson there with help. His help was instrumental in stopping that first ball screen.
Jason Tatum called for the foul. Jeff Cable, again, the acting head coach in the absence of Mike Krzyzewski, who underwent back surgery a couple of weeks ago. Coach K has been around the team off and on during the past week as they've practiced here at home, not having had any games in recent days. And if you stick to what the original time frame, Jay, was, it seems as if Coach K may be about 2 weeks away from rejoining the team.
He was at practice yesterday, watched it on a monitor in his office, and then came down at the end of practice and had a moment with Grayson Allen and a couple of the other players. So he actually walked out on the court at the end of practice.
Very big for Duke to get Emil Jefferson back tonight. Missed 2 games with a bone bruise in his right foot. Duke lost to both. He's so critical at both ends of the floor for the Blue Devils on the inside. Tatum too strong. And it is out of bounds to Miami.
Bruce Brown did a really nice job there getting out to Jason Tatum. And Tatum needed to just shot fake and drive rather than take that shot. It's a shot that he can make. But Emil Jefferson, the last 2 games against Florida State and Louisville, in the second half of those games, Duke gave up 58% combined. And one big factor is Emil Jefferson not being there.
What a drive by Newton and a chance for a 3-point play.
But Jaquan Newton just split off that ball screen, just split the defenders, got right into the middle of the lane. You allow him to split that ball screen, and Harry Giles had done a pretty good job the first 2 screens that he had to defend against. But this one, that split, that is beautifully done by Jaquan Newton.
Jefferson the foul. Newton had a very nice game against Duke last year down in Coral Gables. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. The Hurricanes have beaten Duke twice in a row and 4 of the last 6 since Jim Larrañaga took over Miami. The Hurricanes are 4-2 against Duke, including a win 2 years ago when Duke went on to win the national championship, and that was here. Grayson Allen, no.
Yeah, one of the differences with Jaquan Newton, he's playing the point this season. That's a lot more responsibility. He looks for his scoring, but also has to set up scoring for others or be mindful of it. And then he's guarding the opponent's point guard, which is a lot more difficult of an assignment.
Pick and roll, beautifully done. DeJuan Hewell, a freshman, a McDonald's All-American, rolls to the basket, and a great start for the Hurricanes.
A really good start for Hewell, a freshman going up against another freshman.
Newton called for the hard foul on Allen.
Well, right now, Miami, the last couple pick and rolls, they've gotten some really good action. Off this ball screen, Harry Giles not staying connected, but gets out there. But there's nobody that's right there in order to pick up that roll. That's Grayson Allen's got to get there to tag that.
Allen left alone, and Duke on the board.
We talk about an adjustment. We talk about the adjustment for Jaquan Newton, but it's quite an adjustment for Grayson Allen this year.
Yep.
Last 4 games or so to be able to take over that point guard position himself. He's an excellent passer, but he's not a natural point guard. That's the one thing this team lacks, is a natural point.
Yeah, you've got two drivers / scorers who are handling the point for their respective teams for the most part. Luke Kennard averaging better than 20 a game. Off to Jefferson, into traffic. And which way is it going to go? It will be a block.
Grayson Allen just getting the ball back immediately off the out-of-bounds play, just over pursuit. And it's easy to say over pursuit when a guy's going that quickly, but that was an excellent job of footwork, of stopping, letting the defense fly by, and then pivoting back around.
And Newton probably wary of the fact that he's already picked up one foul, wanted to be very careful, can't afford to have a player that important pick up his second foul this early in the game. As an early substitution for the Blue Devils, Harry Giles out. And Marquise Bolden in, another one of the freshmen, another one of the guys injured early in the year. Jeff Capel told us before the game they saw improvement from Bolden over the course of this week, practicing every day, a big body in the middle, and they're looking to get more out of him than they've gotten so far this year. Now Jim Larrañaga goes to his bench. Ebuka Izundu, a sophomore from Nigeria, checks into the game, and Jim Larrañaga told us shoot around today. They're looking to get more minutes out of him.
Well, he's got to play in this game and play without fouling. And that's one thing this entire Miami team has to do on the road in a difficult environment, is play good defense without fouling. And Izundu is a lefty, and he's got some ability. But both he and Huell have got to be effective at that center spot. And if they go out, then Kamari Murphy, the transfer from Oklahoma State, he can step in and play the 5 as well when they go small.
Newton, good job by Bolden. Newton driving on Kennard, has to force up a tough shot with the shot clock running down. Rebound Blue Devils.
Well, thus far, Duke has been able to limit Miami to one shot. Rebounding going to be a big factor.
Jefferson one-on-one with Murphy. Two real veterans of the college basketball game, and Jefferson left it short.
Now, the issue for Jefferson with that foot is, can he push off and explode off of it? That's the difficulty.
Reed looking for help, and he finds Bruce Brown, a freshman from Boston, a very talented freshman class that the Hurricanes have. Brown starting and averaging about 11 points and 7 rebounds per game for the Hurricanes. Reed spins past Kennard off the back of the iron. Offensive rebound Miami, and Murphy will kick it out, but steps is the call. First media timeout here in Durham. Miami with an early 2-point lead.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by AT&T.
Jeff Capel with extensive head coaching experience at VCU and Oklahoma. Emil Jefferson is back after missing the last 2 games with a bone bruise in his right foot. Duke, significantly better record the last couple of years when Jefferson has been in the lineup as opposed to when he has not. Kennard, and a foul called on Davon Reed, who doesn't like the call.
Well, right out of the timeout, Jeff Capel going to Luke Kennard, the leading scorer for this Duke team, averaging about 20 points per game, especially in conference play. Shot 58% from the field in ACC play, just trying to get him started. And Davon Reed, who's an excellent defender, not just a really good scorer, he plays at both ends of the floor, just caught him a little bit late.
And what kind of a season is this guy having? Look at the percentages, the shooting percentages for Luke Kennard. 53 from the field, 44 from 3, 87 from the line, all in the top 5 in the ACC. He is one of the 25 mid-season Wooden Award candidates. He's the only Blue Devil on that list. There were 3 players on the preseason 50 list. None of them made the 25. Kennard made his way onto the 25 at midseason.
It's ridiculous how good he's been.
Anthony Lawrence Jr. off the bench, and along with the 3, and a strong rebound from Marquise Bolden.
Really good help by Emil Jefferson. He is right camping out in the middle of that lane.
Step back 3, Kennard left it short.
And one thing, when Miami's coming off some of these pick and rolls, the big guys are sticking with them for a couple of dribbles. They're going to have to hesitate and then make the play.
Brown guarded by Kennard, cut off on the baseline, now pulls it back out.
Boy, he had the initial drive baseline when he caught it. He needs to be ready to go right away.
Brown the kick into the corner. Reed knocks down the 3. Davon Reed shooting 39% from beyond the arc on the season. and he's the leading scorer for the Hurricanes at better than 15 a game.
He was the 6th man last season and a terrific scorer, second to Isaiah Hicks of North Carolina for 6th man of the year in the conference. And right now, Luke Kennard working off of some low screens and a little floppy set.
Kennard headed back to the free throw line.
Yeah, anytime there's dribble penetration and you get into the lane, and that's exactly this little hesitation dribble, that's exactly what Brown did. He drew 3 defenders. That's over helping. You cannot help off the strong side corner, which is what Frank Jackson did right there. Anytime you help off strong side corner, you are asking for an open 3. And that's how many it is. 3 right there.
In case you were a little fuzzy on the premise, Jason Tatum back into the game and now for Duke. Jefferson to the bench. Giles back in. Bolden to the bench.
Bolden did a nice job. He can really move his feet. That's one big body, and he's starting to get in much better condition, back in game condition. Man, his feet are really, really good for a guy his size.
And Jeff Capel talked about conditioning as a big aspect of what the Blue Devils went through this week, and they had a big man camp, kind of a breakfast club, where the likes of Bolden and Giles were out there with Nate James early in the morning. Again, guys coming off injuries, and Duke, as talented as they are, still kind of searching for roles in a rotation to a certain extent, even though it's late January. Let's bring in Maria with more.
Yeah, they call it the Breakfast Club, the Big Man's Club. They met at 8 a.m. every single morning this week because they had extra practice time. The focus was really conditioning guys and finishing around the basket even when you're winded. So that was one of the focuses, and they've kind of taken to that name. But I don't know if they've actually seen the Breakfast Club before.
Hey, Maria, what time did the Breakfast Club get going in the morning?
It started at 8 a.m.
See,
that's not that early.
Yeah, I couldn't have done that. I was up at the crack of 10 every morning.
Being the Billustrators a 24/7 kind of job.
It is. Glad you recognize that.
Interesting to hear Coach Larrañaga before the game saying, use the environment to your advantage. Let it bring out the best that you can be. They even tried to simulate it a little bit in practice yesterday or a couple of days ago at home. Hard to simulate this environment, of course. They do have some freshmen playing key roles, and this is a learning experience for young players. But they got some veteran players on this Miami team who have tasted victory in this building 2 years ago. Here's what they tried to do at Coral Gables. So that's DJ Vasiljevic, a freshman, and they're trying to simulate, well, it's the same, only different. They're trying to do it with 10 of their managers and their staff. But when you got a few thousand students behind you, it ups the decibel level just a bit.
And plus, they're not guarded by these guys and have to play against them. That's the real difference.
Jackson switches hands and gives Duke the lead. Pretty acrobatic drive by the freshman Frank Jackson.
Well, Frank Jackson from Alpine, Utah, he is incredibly athletic. And he's really struggled the last couple games, and it's not surprising when you have a freshman on the road in environments like Florida State and Louisville. That's too easy to get all the way to the bucket.
Newton fouled by Tatum. That'll be the second on Tatum.
So Frank Jackson's last 2 ball games, averaging 3 points per game, went 1 of 10, but that's a big-time finish with the left hand. And watch how he keeps his eyes on the rim the whole time. Never took his eyes off of it. That's why he made that, because he kept his eyes up, his eyes on the rim.
So Newton at the line. Boy, he can draw fouls on the opposition, that's for sure, the way he gets to the basket. And with Tatum picking up his second, he goes to the bench, and Jefferson back in for Duke.
Well, Newton can get to the free throw line. He only makes about 68%, which for a point guard, you'd like it to be a little bit higher. He's only made 8 threes on the season. He is a driver, and you've got to close out short to him and take away that drive, because he can really put the ball on the deck and go.
Matt Jones off to Grayson Allen.
Allen needs to drive this matchup when he gets an opportunity.
Jones looking for help. He can't pick it up. It's loose, and it belongs to Miami, and we've got a foul against Jones.
You can always pick it up. You can always pick the ball up.
Monday on ESPN, got a doubleheader for you. It starts here with the ACC right here with Cameron as the Blue Devils host NC State. Wolfpack really scuffling right now. And then Big 12 action, Oklahoma and Texas at 9 o'clock Eastern to both games. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
The horn set right now for Miami.
Brown, nice feed off to Huell for the slam, and Jim Larrañaga's got to love the execution on that.
Well, Duke is going to see pick and roll after pick and roll until they can do a better job defending it, because Miami is getting downhill and getting to the basket and breaking this defense down.
Jackson from the free throw line. Offensive rebound. Giles can't finish, and now it belongs to the Hurricanes. Jay, Duke is giving up an extraordinary number of points in the paint this year. A lot of that as a result of pick and roll. Why are the Blue Devils struggling to defend the pick and roll, sir?
Well, it's a combination of things. They're not doing as good a job as I think they're capable of doing in guarding the ball. And then their help side has not been as good as it should be. And your positioning in help side, it really is your help to start. But that's been an issue, is when you do get put into help, you've got to stop the ball. And the ball, anytime you're in pick and roll, all 5 guys have to guard it. But the ball's always got to be the priority. That's too easy also. This is really good execution by Miami in a difficult environment. And their defense has been really good. This Miami team is a good defensive team. The last game against Wake Forest notwithstanding, because they gave up 90-some points to Wake at Wake.
Yeah, in the ACC, only Virginia has allowed fewer points per game this year. Blocked from behind by Brown. Bolden tries to gather, surrounded by Hurricanes, and they take it away from him.
Marquise Bolden, that earlier in the season before he got hurt, I think he would have made that play right away, hesitated there, and allowed the shot blockers to recover.
By the way, that last foul on Duke on Harry Giles, his second. So Tatum and Giles both on the bench with 2. Huell has to give it up, and he finds Brown. 5 to shoot. 3 ball. What a soft bounce off the back of the rim as Miami extends the lead.
That was right on the heel of the rim. Just detoned it.
That's some good living right there. Kennard, pull up, got it.
Well, that young man's got a lot of game, and he needs to get untracked and put some points on the board. He's had Davon Reed guarding him at times. That's a difficult matchup. Reed's a really good defender.
Brown out to Vasiljevic, who's a terrific three-point shooter, a little strong, and Emil Jefferson down with the rebound. Vasiljevic now drawing the assignment of guarding Kennard. Kicks to the corner. Jackson a good look at a 3.
It looked like Bruce Brown got a piece of that. He certainly got a lot of pressure on it.
Reed knocks it down. That's a 3 ball, and Miami's lead is up to 7.
Well, he is a player. Basically an automatic free throw shooter. If you foul him, Davon Reed, he's known as a straight line driver, but he's got 3-point range, and his ability to hit pull-up shots this season, when he's the #1 guy on every scouting report, has been really, really impressive.
Yeah, Jim Larrañaga saying a whole different role for him. He was option number 4 last year. He's option number 1 this year.
A tough shot by Luke Kennard. He had Vasiljevic on him.
Brown lost it, but a fortunate bounce to Huell, who can't finish, and now Kennard looking to push. Allen driving on Lawrence. Kennard.
Shot fake. Miami has done a pretty good job overall of staying down on fakes. Lawrence did a really nice job in the far corner on Grayson Allen.
Jefferson with a mismatch takes advantage and draws the foul past the midway point of the first half. Miami by 7. When we come back, Luke Kennard going 94 feet with Jay Bilas.
The honors keep coming for Luke Kennard.
It seems like every financial company talks about investing your...
That an all-state quarterback throwing right-handed and a Wooden Award candidate at the college basketball level shooting left-handed.
And he can play golf right-handed or left-handed. Most of us can't play with either way.
Yeah, you know, like guys like us don't like guys like him.
No.
Because of stuff like that. Whoa, Bolden on the glass. And that'll get some energy back into Cameron Indoor Stadium. The deficit down to 5.
And give some confidence to Marquise Bolden, because that's what he's capable of doing. A little 2-3 zone, it looks like now for Duke. They played zone last year against Miami, down in Miami, just trying to keep them out of the lane.
With Giles and Tatum on the bench with 2 fouls, Bolden's got a chance to earn some serious minutes here in the first half tonight. Huell looking for help, and he finds Newton. Got to force it up, and did not draw iron, so that's a shot clock violation.
Well, Duke out of the last timeout Just a little give back, and nobody boxes out. Marquise Bolden had a free run from the corner all the way to the basket. Davon Reed, with his length, he's sticking right with Luke Kennard and not helping off at all. Now, Grayson Allen doesn't look as aggressive as he's looked in past games.
Another Miami turnover. Tuesday, another great doubleheader on ESPN. First, Kansas will take on West Virginia. West Virginia, by the way, beaten just a few minutes ago by Kansas State. And then at 9 o'clock Eastern, it'll be Kentucky, just coming off a win over South Carolina tonight. Kentucky at Tennessee, and we will see Kentucky 1 week from tonight, the Saturday primetime game next weekend. Think this is going to be any fun? Kansas at Rupp Arena, part of the SEC Big 12 Challenge, as the Jayhawks take on the Wildcats. Matt Jones short on the 3.
How about the guard matchups in Kansas, Kentucky? De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, and Devontae Graham and Frank Mason. I mean, what guard has been better this year than Frank Mason of Kansas? Nobody. He's been just tremendous all year long.
And that's saying something, because there has been some great guard play this year. You mentioned Fox. Lonzo Ball has had a phenomenal season. Had another big game today, although UCLA lost at home. Arizona beat UCLA 96-85 today in the game that marked the return of Alonzo Trier to the Wildcats line.
In a phenomenal basketball game. That was just a joy to watch. And it just shows you now that Arizona is a great defensive team, but now they've got more offensive firepower back. If you got to hand out National Coach of the Year right now, Sean Miller of Arizona would get my vote.
Allen fouled by Lawrence. Well, with Arizona playing the way they are, UCLA great. Oregon, if Dylan Brooks gets healthy again. Pac-12 has 3 outstanding teams at the top of that conference. A little work on Grayson Allen as we head to a timeout. Krzyzewskiville, that there was some damage done, so he was attended to fairly quickly during the timeout. The officials had a look at the monitor, determined it was a basketball play, a common foul, 7th team foul for Miami. So Allen is headed to the free throw line now for Duke.
And when points have been difficult to come by, I mean, Duke hasn't knocked down a 3 in this ball game. Getting to the free throw line is an important factor. You put the ball on the deck, attack the lane, get fouled. Every common foul now is free throws. And these Duke guards really shoot the ball well from the free throw line. Luke Kennard shoots almost 90%. Jason Tatum 85. And Frank Jackson shoots 80. Grayson Allen about 80.
1 of 2. Dan Shulman, Jay Billis, Maria Taylor. Saturday prime time here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Both teams 2 and 3 in league play. And you look up at the top of the conference. Florida State, North Carolina, and Notre Dame all won today. All 3 of them are 6 and 1. Florida State in a good game. They beat Louisville. North Carolina struggled on the road against Boston College, but held them off for a win. And Notre Dame with an 18-point win over Syracuse. Moments ago, Jim Larrañaga wired for sound. We'll get back to that momentarily. Duke with the ball down 4, 13 minutes into the game. And the Blue Devils, who average better than 83 points per game, they've only got 14 points right now.
The last couple of possessions, Duke's defense was really contracted. They were not really extending. And it looked a lot like they were playing a zone, matching up, switching off. And it really caused some difficulty. I mean, that's a 2-3 zone look right now, but they're following some guys through, especially on some screen roll situations, and Miami's standing around a little bit against it, and it's really affected Miami's running of its offense.
Newton the drive and the kick. Brown for 3.
I don't think Duke minds having Bruce Brown pull the trigger on that. He's capable of making it, but it's not his game. And it's really affected their ability to sort of put Duke in isolation, go one-on-one.
What a pass by Tatum. And a foul called underneath going against Miami.
And Jason Tatum is aggressive. Now he can shoot the ball and he's got really good range, but where he can really be good is putting the ball on the deck and getting into that lane and drawing other defenders, and he laid that off beautifully to Emile Jefferson. He has got so much game. He's barely scratching the surface of how good he's going to be in an ACC play. He's averaging 18 points a game, 6.5 rebounds. He's been really good.
All right, let's try this again. Jim Larrañaga, wired for sound.
Get it! That's us. Go, go, go! No hesitation. Do not hesitate.
Coach Larrañaga told us a great story today. Was an assistant at Virginia back in one of their great eras, the Ralph Sampson era, the late 70s into the mid 80s, including the Sampson years, and said he always wanted to come back and to be a head coach if possible in the ACC. And it's kind of a long, involved story about how it happened. But one of the best parts was he got a phone call while he was watching his son coach a game, and time was of the essence, and he was told, "Get your resume in right now." And he's like, "I'm at a game. How do I get my resume in?" And his family said to him, "Just cut and paste your Wikipedia page and send that in." And that's what he sent in initially to serve as his resume. One thing led to another, and he gets the job at Miami.
Well, it's a lesson for all of us. Update your Wikipedia page, because you never know when you'll be the head coach at Miami.
Tatum, scoop pass off to Jefferson. And just too many bodies for him to work around and get it up and off the glass. 6-point lead Miami, with just over 5 minutes to go here in the first half at Cameron.
Boy, Miami's controlled the tempo of the game, and now they're getting out and they're setting screens against and turning the zone back into man-to-man, the zone look.
Newton driving and finishing again. He is tough to keep out of the lane. Largest lead of the night for the Hurricanes, and Jeff Capel will call a timeout. And especially Jaquan Newton. And you can see how frustrated Capel is right now.
Well, it's so difficult, Dan. I mean, how do you draw up on a chalkboard, stay in front of the ball, guard your guy, as Jimmy Dykes used to say, guard your yard. They're getting beat off the dribble initially, and there's breakdowns, and right now Miami's getting in the lane basically at will and getting to the rim.
Zundu calling for it inside. Brown can't feed him. Brown with a tough floater for the baseline, and the follow slam extends the lead to 10. It's a 9-0 run right now for the Hurricanes.
A little bit of overhelp there by Jason Tatum. He helped. He did not recover, and nobody rotated down. That was just a complete Miami second shot fest. 2 or 3 guys could have gotten that rebound and dunked it back in.
Baseline Jackson. Bolden got it.
Well, Marquise Bolden has got great potential. He is going to be a really good player. He's good now and getting better, but he's going to be really good down the line.
And again, if you weren't with us earlier, they need him tonight. Harry Giles went to the bench early with a couple of fouls, and Bolden's getting some serious minutes tonight. Reed, a wide open look at a 3.
Just screening the top of that zone and dishing it to the other side. I mean, it couldn't be easier. It's not just the 30 points that Miami's put on the board. That's not all that much. Miami's done a really good job defensively against Duke, holding this team with all this firepower and talent to 19 points with 3 minutes to go in the first half. I don't think anybody else has done that this year.
Tatum wanted a foul call, didn't get it. Back on the Hurricanes.
And the Hurricanes gave up over 90 to Wake Forest. This has been all Miami in the first half. Bruce Brown goes up, nobody boxes out, and Kamari Murphy with the two-handed jam. And then Davon Reed. Jason Tatum had to choose. You got to pick the guy in the corner or the guy with the ball, and Jeff Capel not enjoying this one at all.
The Cameron crazies, but what are your thoughts so far in the first half, Seth?
Duke's offense, no flow. Offense is not a democracy, it's a dictatorship. They got to figure out the 3 guys that are going to go and score for them, because right now no one's scoring.
He's always long-winded. Miami plays well. You have all the firepower and talent you want if you're Duke, but if you're missing the mentality of a killer, a team with a sense of urgency, they're not going to be able to compete in this game. That's what they're missing.
You guys are both long-winded, just for the record. All right, yeah, that's coming up at half.
That Reese Davis, he's a saint, isn't he?
He sure is.
At the line, Allen. So their analysis, no flow offensively, no urgency, no killer instinct offensively.
Well, I think it's actually started on the defensive end. And if you can't play better defense, it's hard to get in a flow on the offensive end. Now, this team can score. I'm not as concerned that Duke's not going to be able to score throughout the course of the game. But it's been Miami's tempo throughout the course of the game, primarily because Duke has not defended well. Now, Duke back in man-to-man now. And they're switching.
Newton misses the jumper, kept alive, still loose, and Miami's got it. Reed, who's having himself a night, adds to it here with another three.
They're just quicker to the basketball, and a great job there by Kamari Murphy and Davon Reed. And when he gets his feet set, he is an excellent shooter.
And the numbers bear it out. 4 for 4 from beyond the arc tonight as Tatum turns it over.
Jason Tatum in a hurry when he caught that, shuffled his feet. But a great job by Murphy just to get his body in the way of Grayson Allen. But anytime there's an offensive rebound, isn't it remarkable how often you can get a wide open step in three after an offensive rebound? Because the defensive team is not thinking about playing defense once the ball goes up. They're thinking about getting the ball and going back on offense.
Reed and Newton playing with a lot of confidence tonight for the Hurricanes, leading some of their young teammates into this hostile environment, but they're playing well. Up a dozen with less than 2 minutes to go in the first half. And there Newton made a mistake. Allen leads the break and threw it between Kennard and Jackson.
Well, that was one where I thought Grayson Allen would take that all the way. But, you know, it's just one mistake. And what you don't want to do is get some sort of feeling that everything's going against you, because that was one of the better sequences on defense that Duke has had in this first half. And they're only down 12.
Murphy from the baseline. Jackson comes down for the rebound.
Yeah, Kamari Murphy is such a great athlete.
Jackson all the way to the rim. And Jim Larrañaga will use a timeout.
Well, he's wearing out Kamari Murphy for taking that shot.
Really wearing him out. Sending the fifth-year senior to the bench, it looks like. After we finish up here tonight, keep it locked right here on ESPN for Sports Center at Night with Lisa Kearney and Kevin Connors. They'll have the highlights from our game as well as a big-time day. All kinds of action around the college basketball world today, NBA, NHL, and, of course, NFL playoff news heading into the conference championship games tomorrow.
Well, you have to be impressed with the defensive effort that Miami has put up. And on the offensive end, the pick and roll, the ball screen situations that Miami has put Duke in, that has really been the difference for their offense. And it's going to be a consistent diet of this, not only all game long, but all season long, unless Duke can improve its screen roll defense. That is not an easy thing for freshmen to grasp, especially when they've been out this long. But Miami, this is a big staple of their offense. And Miami plays a lot of one-on-one basketball with Jaquan Newton and Davon Reed. They're excellent one-on-one players. They like to put you on an island and go right after you.
Reed again. Not this time, and Jefferson wraps it up. Duke with 1 assist in this game so far, and they have not made a three-pointer. 0 for 7 from beyond the arc.
Now, Duke hasn't played well on the offensive end, but you got to give a lot of that credit to Miami. You know, Miami's one of the best defensive teams statistically in the ACC. Now, you wouldn't think that if you only watched their game Wednesday night against Wake Forest, because they were just awful. Wake Forest was terrific, especially John Collins. What a year he's having for Wake Forest. But this team gave up over 90 points to Wake. And right now they've held Duke to 23 with a minute to go in the first half. That's a remarkable turnaround.
And 2 games ago, in Jim Larrañaga's 600th win, they held Pittsburgh to 46. So they went 46, then gave up 96. Now they've given up 23 and a half.
Well, it goes to what Jim Larrañaga told us today at practice. He said, I don't know how we're going to play. We're so young. We're different from game to game. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Uncontested offensive rebound off a missed free throw.
Well, you hardly ever see that. It looked like It looked like everybody in a white shirt thought it was 2 shots.
Can Newton take advantage? Yes, he can.
Just getting right into the middle. These guys, Jaquan Newton and Davon Reed, they're excellent straight line drivers. If you can't stay in front of them, you've at least got to angle them out. Now, it's easy to say, tough to do. Good job by Dwan Huell there.
Allen turns the corner, slips inside and scores.
Well, he got fouled too and was able to finish that play. Now Miami can hold for the last shot. 10-point lead. This is a big possession for Miami. On the road, if you can knock down a shot, especially a 3 before going into halftime, that would be a big play for Miami.
Down to 4 seconds. Newton, deep 3. And a foul is called on Grayson Allen, who also appears to be injured.
Boy, they called a foul on that. So at least that's going to be a 1-and-1. Grayson Allen's injured. Looked like he injured his finger there.
And they have hyperextended a finger or something, but in some significant pain. And I would think this is a 2-shot foul, that it was in the act of shooting.
It looked like it. It looked like he was trying to get a tip. But of all the injuries that they've had, who needs another one? That's incredible.
See if we can get a good look at the left hand of Grayson Allen.
He did it before he took a swipe at that ball.
Right there, probably.
Looks like he just got bent backwards. The referees are taking a look right now to see if the foul was committed before time expired. What an odd situation. You don't see that very often at the end of a half.
Well, you can see the pinky finger on the left hand. That's the one from that shot that certainly appears to have been the one that suffered the damage there on that play. You can understand what it looked like that while he was in that much pain.
Looked like Anthony Munoz's finger. What a rough game for Grayson Allen.
Scrape across the right eye on the foul earlier in the half. And you think that, Jay, this is a time? Yeah, you're right. So 0.3 of a second back on the clock, says Brian Dorsey.
And this is a 2-shot foul.
Should be. Yeah, and it is.
And what's interesting with the time remaining, that means everybody's going to be on the line. I think it'll be easier for Dwan Huell to take these free throws having people on the line. Something he's more familiar with. He's not a bad free throw shooter, coming in about 75%.
McDonald's All-American from Miami, 6'11", 220. Miami, even with that make, still just 2 of 7 from the line tonight, yet they've still got an 11-point lead. And that's the end of the first half. The Hurricanes will take an 11-point lead into the locker room. The Blue Devils trying to avoid their 3rd consecutive loss. Duke has not made a 3 so far in this game. Maria's with Coach Jim Larrañaga.
Coach, you weren't sure how your team was going to respond. They've been a little up and down this season. What's your reaction to the first half?
Well, I thought we played good defense and we rebounded. I don't like that we put them on the foul line a few too many times. But I thought offensively we basically did what we planned on doing. A lot of ball screens and attacking.
After you saw them go into the zone, what do you have to see more of when they go into that defensive set?
Well, we made an adjustment. It worked a little bit better, but we got to get our guys to recognize the zone a little quicker.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Jim Larrañaga to Miami 36, Duke 25 at halftime. When we come back, Reese, J. Will, and Coach Greenberg with the Alfa Romeo halftime report.
Hey, Steve, check out this guy's leg.
Yeah, looks like a real nasty. Moving back in with...
Presented by AT&T. And welcome back to Cameron Indoor Stadium. There's some concern around this program right now. The Blue Devils in jeopardy of losing their 3rd consecutive game. I get everybody, Dan Shulman and Jay Billis. What are you seeing from this team over the last 2.5 games?
Well, they have struggled in the second halves against both Florida State and Louisville. Both those games on the road, Duke gave up 58% in each of those second halves of their field goal defense. And in the game against Miami, where they really struggled in the first half. Look, you can't X and O your way out of this one. I think if Mike Krzyzewski were here, he'd be talking about fight. Like, how much fight is there going to be in this team in the second half? That's something to watch. And their field goal defense, can they improve it?
Maria Taylor had a chance to get some halftime thoughts from acting head coach Jeff Capel.
And Dan, it's exactly what Jay said. Jeff Capel said right now it's all about toughness. They're not fighting to make the big play. And he also said the most concerning stat right now is that 1 assist. Everyone's trying to do it by themselves. But the interesting fact is Duke came in trying to make the characteristically Duke play. They wanted to be tougher in this matchup, and that's something they focused on, trying to make it manifest itself here tonight.
All right, Maria, thank you. And how about this to start the second half? We mentioned to you as a travel is called on Reed. We told you that Allen was out warming up with the team, so we assumed that he would start the second half. You know what they say about assuming things. He starts on the bench with the 2 fingers on his left hand taped up, and look who's alongside him, Harry Giles and Luke Kennard. 3 changes in the starting lineup for Duke here in the second half.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what Maria Taylor was talking about, that Jeff Capel starting the guys that have played the toughest. And they need to establish some fight in this second half. This isn't about diagramming a play or diagramming how they're going to guard pick and roll. This is about rolling your sleeves up and getting in a fight.
He got it off in time, Tatum did. Good hands by Jones. An opportunistic play by Matt Jones.
Matt Jones leads this team in steals, one of the best defenders in the country. Had been starting, came off the bench in this one with Emil Jefferson coming back.
He is 3rd in the ACC in steals on the season. Good defense there by Jackson, but a late whistle and a foul call against Frank Jackson.
Well, Jaquan Newton was pulling up for that shot, fading back a little bit, and Frank Jackson just brought his body right into Newton. His hands were up, but he brought his body into him.
Jay, Duke is below 500. They have a losing record in conference play, 5 games into the conference season for the first time in 21 years. And they are trailing here at home tonight. If they lose tonight, they drop to 2-4 in league play. They're already in the bottom half of the league, which is such a rugged go. Obviously, the ACC, so many great caliber teams. And Duke still has to go to Notre Dame. They still have to go to Virginia. They still have to go to North Carolina. This was the consensus preseason #1 team in the nation, and obviously the injuries have been very disruptive. But as you have said, as Jay, Will, and Reese and Coach Greenberg have said, they just don't look like themselves.
They have not in this game. And you can understand, I mean, they've been through a lot with Mike Krzyzewski out. That is not easy for a young team to absorb. We've documented almost ad nauseum all the injuries, but that has absolutely been a major issue for this team all season long.
Jefferson the drive and the finish.
But as you mentioned, it's not going to get any easier. And this is an important game. This and the game Monday night against NC State. These are what you would call mental health wins, and wins you have to have in this tough league.
Newton over Jackson. And a whistle. And it's going against Matt Jones.
One thing we have seen to start the second half is Miami has had to take much more difficult shots than they took in the first half, and Matt Jones just got a hand in the back there on that rebound.
So a fresh 30 now for the Hurricanes. Reed and Tatum got a piece of that. Murphy comes up with it, and it will stay with Miami.
Overall, Miami's done a really nice job on the glass. It's an athletic team, especially Kamari Murphy. Jason Tatum really recovering well with the flyby. That was just a shot. That should have been a shot fake and drive for Davon Reed.
Bruce Brown, the freshman, had a really nice first half. 8 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds.
Frank Jackson on DeJuan Huell did a really nice job They're trying to get around in front. Now they've switched back.
Brown. And over the back goes Murphy.
What a difference defensively for Duke in the second half. They have contested every shot. In the first half, that was not the case. There were a lot of open shots for these Miami Hurricanes.
So with Allen starting the second half on the bench, Jackson the primary ball handler, the primary point guard right now for the Blue Devils. Jefferson off to Tatum. And they still don't have a three in this game. A steal by Jones. They've got one now.
We're led to believe each individual point is worth the same amount, regardless of when it's scored.
Layups. Canes still looking for their first field goal here in the second half. They do have one free throw, but all of a sudden it's a 5-point game, and as Mr. Billis so eloquently said, it has all been created with a real uptick in their defensive intensity.
And this is with Grayson Allen, Luke Kennard, and Harry Giles all on the bench to start this second half. Their best offensive players, Allen and Kennard, not playing.
And we are told Allen physically is available to play despite that left pinky finger injury, but he starts the second half on the bench. A bump and a foul on the floor. Reed on the drive and may have fallen into one of the photographers as he got knocked down over the end line.
Well, Miami out of that timeout really needs to get a bucket here, and they have 5 out, really trying to isolate and get a drive in. It looked like it was a knee that hit him right in the back of the neck there.
Reed with 4 threes in the game. Jefferson saying that it's off Huell, but Les Jones disagrees, and Jones is the only opinion that matters. It stays with Miami.
Well, if there's going to be an overplay, Miami's got to look to set up their cut and look for a back door.
Newton almost turned it over. Still a lot of time to shoot. Brown inside. Huell. And an offensive foul. Another Miami turnover.
What a difference in defensive energy with this 5 to start this second half as opposed to the entire 20 minutes of the first half.
A lot of firepower over on the bench. Giles, Kennard, and Allen. Jones, Jackson, and Bolden getting the start in their place here in the second half. Jackson. Bolden. Yes. And Miami weathered the storm here at Cameron. All Duke in the second half. Loose ball belongs to Duke. Jones. This would tie it. What an absolute turnaround here in the second half, and they've got it again. Jackson for the lead.
Matt Jones has been absolutely spectacular. Spectacular in this second half.
Look Look who's here. The roaming gnome is here, posing for pictures before the game, hobnobbing with the crazies. Even Maria's getting in on the action, getting to know the gnome.
How'd the gnome get into the student section? Let's check the GPA.
And the birth certificate.
Was the gnome duly admitted?
All Duke in the second half. If you're just joining us, they've outscored Miami 14-1 in the second half. Matt Jones, the spark. The Hurricanes in this half, Jay, no field goals, 7 turnovers.
Not moving the ball from side to side before attacking. And Duke's getting anything they want now. What a great finish by Marquise Bolden.
These might be the best minutes he's given the Blue Devils this season.
And then you've got Grayson Allen, Luke Kennard still on the bench. When they come into the game, and they will eventually, they'll come in fresh and firing.
Lawrence. And Azundu can't finish for Miami. It has been a disastrous 6 minutes for the Hurricanes. Tatum fouled. Let's take a look at On the Road, presented by Travelocity. And the road has not been kind to Duke. The success they've had. Look at 9-0 here at home. Played some neutral site games as well. But in their 3 true road games this year, giving up 85 points per game. Now, you go to Louisville, that's a tough place to play. You go to Tallahassee, that's a tough place to play. And obviously, when you play in the ACC, you're going to have some tough games. As we mentioned earlier, Duke still will go to Notre Dame, Virginia, and North Carolina. Of course, North Carolina will also come here. That game comes up on the 9th of February. As Kennard, Allen, Giles still anchored to the bench. Jeff Capel changing 3 of his starters coming into the second half. This group has really given them a spark, and it's really been led by Matt Jones.
Matt Jones has been absolutely spectacular. He's had 3 steals, 8 points, all in this second half. That first steal, he got underneath the basket and the putback, and then in transition, getting that steal and 3. Those were gigantic plays to turn the tide and turn the momentum in this game, because the momentum in the first half, all Miami. It was all Miami.
Jones again. His third 3 of the second half.
Well, Matt Jones was spectacular defensively earlier in this season against Michigan State. In this second half, he's been spectacular on both ends.
Brown to Reed, and another Hurricane turnover. Let's go to the last Miami timeout. Listen to Jim Larrañaga.
They didn't have a 3 in the first half. Because we were back and set. Now we keep turning the ball over, taking bad shots, throwing the ball away. They're going to try to steal the ball. You've jacked this whole place up.
He's bang on.
You've got to go back at it together.
He's bang on. The Miami turnovers have led to 3s, have gotten the crowd back into it. And boy, it's all going rather quickly right now for this Hurricane team. Too quickly here in the second half.
Well, Dan, Miami had 36 points in the first half. They've got 1 point in the second half in over 7 minutes.
They're hardly getting any shots.
It's unbelievable. I mean, 1 point.
Tatum at the line. Kennard and Allen have come in for Duke for the first time this half.
I mean, who can figure out this league? I mean, you mentioned it. Miami takes Pittsburgh and crushes them. Then they turn around and get crushed by Wake Forest. They come into this game on the road, dominate the first half, and then come out in the second half, and they've been absolutely dominated in the second half. Who can figure this out?
A 20-0 run for the Blue Devils, almost entirely keyed by their defense.
And now a more potent offensive team or offensive lineup on the floor.
Reed gets a friendly bounce, his 5th 3 of the game, and a foul underneath going against Luke Kennard.
So Miami will keep the ball And this can be the kind of thing that can switch a little bit of momentum and get some good feeling back on Miami's side. Luke Kennard on the high side and just pulling the arm at DeJuan Huell. And you see that was a foul. But boy, this can be a big play for Miami if they can get a score. Maybe calm them down a little bit.
Huell with a size advantage on Kennard, but he is called for the offensive foul. His third.
I'm not sure I get that one.
Jim Larrañaga's not sure he gets it either.
Yeah, that's just basketball. I don't get that one.
Coach Larrañaga agrees. So Duke with the ball back up by 7. Allen playing with 2 fingers on his left hand taped up as Matt Jones is just plain and simple taken over here in the second half.
And he's done it at both ends. Guarding Davon Reed now. He's Duke's best defender, leads them in steals, and has been a captain. He's played just about every role you can play on this team in his 4 years. But he's not necessarily played the role of star. Well, he's been a star and nothing but a star in this second half. Matt Jones has dominated this second half.
Second half, Matt Jones leading Duke a 24-4 run in the second half. Jones has 13 points all in the second half. Duke's got the lead and Maria's got more.
Guys, that basically Miami's had turnovers on consecutive possessions. They're not even getting looks at the basket right now, and that's the problem. Now also Miami concerned with the way they're responding to runs, and Coach Larrañaga just sat down, took a deep breath, and looked at his team like, come on, guys.
Brown off the side of the backboard. Huell can't finish on the follow. Thank you, Maria. And back come the Blue Devils. Allen looking for Jefferson. Now will drive it. Swatted away by Murphy. Duke ball.
We've seen a totally different Duke defense from the first half to the second. And Duke's defense in the second half has been spectacular. They've been engaged, and they have not allowed an open shot. We've documented the turnovers, but Miami's not gotten an open shot in this second half.
Help side struggling to get any kind of shot.
Yeah, I mean, help side is there. Everybody's talking down in the stands, engaged. We didn't see that in the first half. And a lot of the credit you have to give to Matt Jones.
You know, you talk to certain coaches about certain players, and you can just see and hear when they talk about them how much they love them. Mike Bray about Steve Astoria, Jay Wright, Ryan Arcidiacono, and when Coach K talks about Matt Jones, that's the way that he lights up when he talks about him, about all the intangibles that he brings to this Duke team.
He talks about all he wants to do is win.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, Dan, it's not like at halftime, you know, Duke put on a film and had a clinic on how to guard this or guard that. They're playing so much harder and with so much more enthusiasm than they did in the first half. And right now it looked like Miami going into a little bit of zone. They couldn't keep Duke from getting whatever they wanted, just trying to switch things up a little bit.
Miami has scored 4 points in better than 10 minutes here in the second half.
That's shocking. Absolutely shocking.
And another turnover, this time at travel. Monday on ESPN, an ACC Big 12 doubleheader at 7 Eastern time. North Carolina State will be right here at Cameron to take on the Blue Devils on Big Monday. Then at 9 o'clock Eastern into the Big 12 for Oklahoma and Texas. Both games also streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. Golden getting a breather.
You know, in the first half, Miami looked like they were in complete control, not only of the game, but in complete control of what they're doing. And in the second half, Duke has been in total control, and Miami looks inept.
Tatum won't get more wide open than that.
The Hurricanes are absolutely shell-shocked right now. Absolutely shell-shocked.
They played 20 great minutes. And it's like the roles have reversed and then some here in the second half.
Jason Tatum has got an awful lot of game. Nice ball reversal and the quick pass to the opposite corner, and the zone just couldn't shift in time. And Tatum got the wide open three. Almost like someone fell down there or something on the ball reversal.
Brown calling for a ball screen from Hewell. Giles working hard on the perimeter.
Needed to be careful there on the reach. Did everything right except for the reach.
Vasiljevic. Allen got a piece of it, and Duke's got it again. Giles. The assist to Kennard.
Miami's got 4 points in the second half. 4.
And Duke's got 29.
That's unbelievable.
And Jim Larrañaga's used up all of his timeouts.
Duke's defense in this second half bears zero resemblance to the defense in the first half. Everyone engaged, deflections, steals, transition. Every shot has been challenged. A completely different team than we saw in the first half.
And whatever Jeff Capel's message was at halftime, it was message received by his players.
I'll bet you it was loud.
Yes.
Because the coaching staff's been really fired up. There's been a lot of fist bumping, a lot of yelling, and yelling in a positive manner. The enthusiasm level has been really high in the second half. But, you know, how about the lineup change? You know, Jeff Capel has been a head coach for quite a while. You know, he's a head coach at VCU, really built that program up. Obviously, Shaka Smart came in and took it to the Final Four in 2011. Was at Oklahoma and recruited Blake Griffin, took that team to an Elite Eight. And for him to make that change and to put Grayson Allen and Luke Kennard, Harry Giles on the bench and start this second half with the lineup he did, I mean, that injected a lot of toughness, a lot of fight, which wasn't present in the first half. And talk about turning the tide in a game. I can't remember a time where I've ever seen a good team score 4 points in this amount of time.
They've turned it over 11 times in the second half, Miami has, and Duke has turned those 11 turnovers into 23 points. 23 of the 29 points the Blue Devils have in the second half have come off Miami turnovers.
Jim Larrañaga has coached basketball for a lot of years. I would be really surprised if he's had a team that's come out and put this little on the board for this amount of time.
Jackson fouled after yet another Hurricanes turnover.
Hey, Jeff Capel's worked his tail off on the sidelines. I wonder if he's got one of those Fitbits on.
He's going to need another shirt at some point. He's pretty much sweat through that one.
White was a smart choice.
He's unbuttoned the top button. He's loosened the collar a little bit. Wiping the sweat off. So you want to be a coach, huh?
He's a heck of a player, too. Yeah. Iconic moment where he hit that half-court shot against North Carolina in 1995. Kennard getting a little attention from the Duke training staff as he leaves the game.
And it appears to be all right.
And Frank Jackson in the second half has done a really nice job at the point of attack of putting pressure on the ball. Just as you say that, he picks up a foul. But he really has done a nice job. Athletic, he stayed down the stance, but his pressure on the ball at the point of attack has been really solid.
The guy's trying to keep out of the lane is one of the tougher guys in the country to keep out of the lane. And Newton, who's got a chance for a three-point play.
Jaquan Newton, if nothing else, can get his own. He's made a nice transition to the point. That puts an awful lot of pressure to score on Jaquan Newton and Davon Reed. And Bruce Brown can put some points on the board, but if Newton and Reed are not scoring, it's awfully difficult for Miami.
And the foul going against the Hurricanes. It'll be on Reed. His second.
And really, there's not a ton of depth on the bench for Miami. It's not like Jim Larrañaga's got a lot of different choices when things aren't working, that he can put a lot of different players in. He put Vasiljevic in for a while, but he gives up something defensively. Vasiljevic just a freshman.
They've only got 9 scholarship players, and really only 8 play on a regular basis. One of the issues they had at Wake during the week was they fouled a ton. And they just don't have the depth. They sent Wake to the line like crazy. Newton.
There is a lid on that basket for Miami in the second half.
Whoa. How did Tatum slice through there?
Well, Miami's problems, not just the turnovers, but the missed shots. It's almost like every time there's a miss, there's exasperation, and that has really affected Miami's transition defense, and Duke's getting easy basket after easy basket.
It's 33-7 Duke in the second half.
Look, there's a long way to go in this game. There's over 7 minutes, and a lot can happen in 7 minutes. It's a 15-point game, and you hate to say this, but this feels over?
Yeah.
It feels over.
It felt over several minutes ago.
And it's not over, but it feels over.
7:09 to go. Blue Devils up 15.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by AT&T.
If you're worried about the score, so you quit playing. You're like looking, oh, they scored again. Oh, that's not what you do on the road.
It's been disastrous, to say the least, in the second half for Miami. They are 2 for 14 with 12 turnovers, Jay, since the break.
Well, and you can hear from Jim Larrañaga. I mean, he is saying the same thing, actually, that we've been saying, is that his team's kind of getting mired in it. So every time there's a mistake on the offensive end, they've let it affect them, their transition defense. They've let it affect them on the defensive end. And it's just gotten, it's like a hole that keeps getting deeper. They keep digging. And the first rule of holes is when you're in one, stop digging.
Right. 35-7 Duke in the second half.
I cannot, Dan, recall a time where I've seen a good team, and Miami's a good team, put up this little in a half.
Weak side put back there by Murphy.
I mean, they haven't even hit 10 points yet in the second half.
And as you said, Jim Larrañaga said to us at shoot-around today, I have no idea what I will get from my team here tonight. He's gotten 2 different versions of his team. Meanwhile, what Duke has gotten out of Matt Jones in the second half, he's been the game changer.
Well, Duke has gotten 29 points out of his bench in large measure because of the great play from Matt Jones. And this is not like he was hitting wide open threes on ball reversals. He got it off of hard work. Those 2 steals where he had 5 points off those 2 steals to start the second half. And then knocking in some open threes off the Duke offense. The defense got them started, and Matt Jones got the defense started.
Matty Ice doing it at both ends of the court, even mopping up a little bit if need be.
That might have been Jeff Capel's sweat there. There has not been any popcorn sold by Matt Jones yet. So he has not done it all, but he's almost done it all. And in the second half of this game, he's just 1 bucket shy of having his season high all in the second half.
Pressure now from the Hurricanes to try to force some turnovers. And Newton fouls Jefferson. It's bonus both ways. The winner of this game gets back to the 500 mark in conference play at 3-3. We showed you a little bit earlier the top 9 in the standings of the ACC, a 15-team league. Neither of these teams are in the top 9 right now. The winner of this game will be. And Duke coming in having lost 2 in a row at Florida State and then at Louisville. And trying to get back to 3-3.
For the players, you don't really need to worry about the standings. You just want to protect your home court first. It's so hard to get a win on the road. But more than anything, job one is protect your home court. And then you can go out and take a swing at somebody on the road. But you got to protect your home court first.
Florida State did that against Louisville today, 2 of the best teams in the league. What do you think of the Seminoles?
Well, they got out to a 14-0 lead. And that's a really deep, really athletic team. Leonard Hamilton can throw body after body at you. And they've got Jonathan Isaac is a spectacular young player. And Dwayne Bacon is having a great year. But I was really impressed with Louisville. I mean, they're playing without Quentin Snyder, their point guard.
North Carolina beat BC today 90-82. Kennedy Meeks, Justin Jackson combined for 42 points. And Notre Dame beat Syracuse 84-66. B.J. Beacham had 30 for the Irish today as they moved to 6-1 in league play.
And Notre Dame has so many different players that can put 20 on you. And offensively, they are so gifted. Difficult matchup with Bonzie Colson, a double-double guy in the ACC.
Tatum with a drive.
And that's what he's capable of. Jason Tatum just oozes potential. And Duke looks really comfortable right now on the offensive end. And they have made Miami extraordinarily uncomfortable with their defense.
More Duke coming your way Monday night as part of an ACC Big 12 doubleheader. It starts off here in the ACC. The Blue Devils home to NC State at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Jay will be on the call along with Sean McDonough on that one. Then at 9 o'clock Eastern time, Oklahoma and Texas.
You know what Raftery would say about that, right? He'd say, it'll be nice to work with a real pro.
I walked right into that. I mean, how did I know? McDonough and I had dinner a couple of nights ago, and
I bet you I can guess who paid.
Neither is the correct answer.
A little dine and ditch from the play-by-play guys, huh?
5.5 to go, less than that now. An 11-point halftime deficit for Duke has turned into an 18-point lead. Kennard. First points of the second half for Luke Kennard.
Well, Luke Kennard and Grayson Allen started out this second half on the bench after not having a stellar first half. And I don't think it was so much the offense as much as it was Jeff Capel and his staff. They wanted to inject a defensive mentality and a toughness mentality in the second half, and they did it from the word go. And we've documented how Matt Jones was the leader of that parade.
This is the third game of a three-game road swing, if you will, for Miami. They'll go home for 3 after this to play BC, Carolina, and Florida State. And Duke, as we mentioned, will stay at home and play NC State here on Monday night.
And Boston College is no easy out anymore. Jerome Robinson, Kai Bowman, big game today.
Kennard again. Brown with a crossover, and it goes in for him.
Now, even though Duke's got a big lead here, and it looks like the game is going to be won. I mean, there's still 4 minutes to go. There's a lot that can happen. But giving up an easy basket, I mean, Jeff Capel was not happy when that easy basket was given up. Duke's made things so difficult on Miami. He doesn't want to see anything to sort of slide back with this young team. And this second half has been so good from an effort standpoint and a defense standpoint. He doesn't want to see anything given up.
Allen with the shot clock at 7. Kennard into the lane, right hand up and good.
Well, that's a good drive against the grain after catching that pass off of Grayson Allen's penetration. Now, Kennard was a heck of a football player. A quarterback in Ohio, and was an all-state quarterback. He quit after his junior year, but I said, why'd you quit football? He goes, because I'm better at basketball. Okay, no. Dumb question, I guess. Sorry about that.
That question didn't make 94 feet.
Yeah, exactly. That was in the 188 feet that got cut.
Inside 3 minutes to go. And a foul before the shot to take us to immediate timeout. 19-point lead for Duke. When we come back, the day of Jay, needless to say. Don't go anywhere.
Just one day. Just the behind the head shot, the dome cam they've got now. When we had the beautiful quaffs, and when I was in college, man, it was something to see. There were never those over the shoulder things, man. But I got a problem with our staff on this.
As I've told you many times, to non-bald people, bald is always funny. It never gets old. Because Doug Holmes, our director, has like the hair of 1,000 men. He's got a great head. He's got a great head of hair. I mean, he's got the hair of a 17-year-old, and he flaunts it all the time. We need to work with a bald director. Trying to figure out who the shooter should be, evidently, after this last foul. Jim Larrañaga coming down for a.
And he's going to say, "Can you guys speed this up? I'd like to get on the bus."
Les Jones ushering him back to his bench.
He just wanted a little equal time. He thought Jeff Capel was getting a little too close to the monitor. He just wanted to insert himself in there. It's been a frustrating second half for Jim Larrañaga. What a great coach. Got his 600th career victory.
14th active coach to reach that milestone.
And that story about him getting the Miami job, where he had to cut and paste his Wikipedia page in a makeshift resume, was one of the funniest things I've heard in a while.
I'm impressed he could cut and paste. Sent the Wikipedia page in to sub as his resume because time was of the essence, and he was unable to get home, get to his computer, get the resume printed up, but it all worked out in the end, both for Coach Larrañaga and for Miami. He signed an extension recently through 2022, I believe.
Well, he's done a great job. And I loved when we were asking him about, he keeps these books of the goals that he's got, both in basketball and outside. We asked him, he said a couple of his goals he's not really reaching.
Jackson all the way.
Oh, he's had a great second half. But apparently one of his goals was weight related. And he said, when I was in high school, I was really skinny. So I've gone back to eating everything I did in high school.
And really, there's no flaw in that logic.
Hot dogs, soda, ice cream. I ate all that stuff when I was in high school, and boy, was I skinny.
Yeah, not quite working for him the same way now.
Well, he still looks great.
He looks great, yeah. 67 years of age. 19-point lead, Duke, 2 minutes to go. So a 30-point swing in the second half in favor of the Blue Devils.
Absolutely remarkable. And what it shows, Dan, I think, for the young players on this Duke team is they do have the chops to play really good defense. They can do it because they did it.
Good effort there by Jackson to keep it alive, but the Hurricanes come up with the ball and they've got numbers. Reed end-to-end for the lay-in. Well, again, it'll be interesting post-game when Jeff Capel is asked, and I'm sure he will be, what did you say to your team at halftime? How did you challenge them? It'll be interesting to see what he talks about, what he says.
And having Emile Jefferson back in this game was a significant factor. He's not 100%, that's clear. But just having his voice out there and his presence, I think, was a big factor. How good is this kid? Offensive foul. Jason Tatum is so talented.
He's fouled out of the game, but had a terrific night. Overshadowed a little bit by what Matt Jones did in the first few minutes of the second half. Tatum with 12 points in the second half alone. So he was a real spark offensively.
Well, that there is the primary spark. He was the fire.
Yep.
And if there's a player of the game to give, it's all Matt Jones's.
Final minute.
Oftentimes, Dan, you hear the term role player, and sometimes role player, people take from that you're limited.
Yep.
And Matt Jones is not a primary scorer on this team, but he's a huge factor in Duke's success. And he was absolutely the star of this game, especially a star of the second half. Without Matt Jones, I don't think this game turns as it did.
Yeah, I agree. You also hear him referred to as a glue guy sometimes, and that's a compliment, but that doesn't do him justice either.
No.
He's more than that.
It's some pretty good glue.
Yeah. A turnover here, and Brown challenges Kennard, and Allen finishes and is fouled. A little run by Miami here at the end of the second half will make the score a little bit more respectable, but it's still going to be a big win for Duke. Next week, we're going to have a big-time matchup for you. Kansas at Kentucky. De'Aaron Fox leaving the game today with an ankle injury for Kentucky. And obviously, he's the engine that really makes that Kentucky offense go. So we'll wait and see the severity of that injury and how quickly Fox comes back. But that's going to be a great one. You talked about if he's healthy, Fox and Monk against Mason and Graham. How much fun is that going to be?
Mason and Graham and Josh Jackson as well. And Svi Mikhailuk for Kansas, an excellent shooter. Really, the difference in that game could wind up being the inside presence of Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
And now after you watch him play for a while, you know why he's named Bam. Every time he gets the ball near the bucket, Bam.
Shot clock turned off. The Blue Devils with a big second half will come back and win it, go to 3-3 in league play, snap their 2-game losing streak. Miami will fall to 2-4 in the ACC. Duke picks up a much-needed victory sparked by Matt Jones and tremendous defensive intensity in the second half. They beat the Hurricanes 70-58. For Jay Billis, Maria Taylor, and our outstanding crew, I'm Dan Shulman.